do more beyond this masking, namely having a vaccine issue, we will seriously consider that as new information arises. So it's just keeping an open mind that the situation may change, but at this particular time, we do not feel that it's necessary to make that a requirement for domestic flights.
And
Dr. Willis?
maybe, yeah, thank you, Jeff. Asma, thanks for this question. I think you're referring to my discussion with regard to isolation rather than quarantine. And what we really do know is that the vast majority of your transmissible time is in those first 5 days. Up to 85, 90% of all of your transmission is happening in those first 5 days, those 2 days before you have symptoms and the 2 to 3 days after. So we think it's most important to make sure that people are isolating during that period of time. And then any of that lingering small amount of transmission afterwards would be prevented by masking.
Just one follow-up from a previous question on boosters. I did track down the data. So as I said, nearly 2 out of 3 eligible seniors, those ages 65 and older, have now been boosted. And for 18 and over, so the population 18 and over, 45%, about 45% have now received a booster of the eligible. But you know, those numbers have gone up a lot, doing about 1 million a day. But as the doctors continually emphasize, everybody who's eligible should go get boosted as soon as possible. Next question.
All right, we're going to do 2 more questions. Nate Wexel, The Hill.
Hi, thanks. Just a question on the isolation and quarantine guidance. Why was there no distinction between vaccinated and unvaccinated with regards to the 5 days? I mean, is there evidence that the virus is going to be less contagious after 5 days, no matter what your vaccination status is?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Nate. Obviously vaccination and boosting is going to prevent you from getting virus to begin with. But if you happen to be one of those breakthrough infections, we have seen data that you, at least for other variants, that you peak at around the same place if you happen to be a breakthrough than you would if you are unvaccinated. You may have a slightly steeper rate of decline than if you were unvaccinated, but in fact, most of that is still happening in the first 5 days, and therefore we didn't feel like we had enough granularity to distinguish between the two.
Next question.
Last question. Let's go to Evan Lambert at News Nation now.
Thanks for taking my questions. I have 2. So I'm still a little bit unclear on why isolation guidelines don't include suggesting a negative antigen test. If people can get one, why shouldn't they check to make sure they aren't infectious before they leave isolation? And then the second one, I guess maybe for Dr. Fauci, can we get a clear recommendation? Should Americans cancel their New Year's Eve plans? Thank you.
Dr. Walensky.
Yeah, so we do know that certainly a PCR, you can stay positive in your PCR for a long period of time. But with regard to the question of your antigen, is we do not know how well those antigen tests perform at day 5 in detecting transmissibility. And it is for that reason that we would say, even if you had a negative test, we would want you to mask. And even if you had a positive test, we would also want you to mask. And therefore, given that these antigen tests are not authorized for use in this way, we did not recommend them at that time.
Dr. Fauci, New Year's Eve.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. So similar to what I said for the Christmas holiday, it goes true here. If you are in a situation with a family setting in your home with family, parents, children, grandparents, and everyone is vaccinated and boosted, although the risk is never zero in anything, the risk is low enough that we feel you should continue to go through with those plans of having a home-related, vaccinated, boosted gathering with family and close friends who are also vaccinated and boosted. So it really depends on what your plans are. You said, should you change or cancel your plans? If your plans are to go to a 40 to 50 person New Year's Eve party with all the bells and whistles and everybody hugging and kissing and wishing each other a happy new year, I would strongly recommend that this year we do not do that.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. I wish everybody a safe and happy new year, and we'll look forward to next week's return to our normal style briefings. Thank you.